This is not a review of Ghostwire Tokyo or Horizon Forbidden West. I was writing a review of Ghostwire Tokyo, but I realized about halfway through that I was focusing mostly on a single topic, and that it wasn't really a review of the game itself, but an entirely separate video mostly about that simple topic. The quote unquote genre conventions of the open world game. Even though the open world isn't a genre, it's a mechanic. And how Ghostwire Tokyo uses them, and the missed opportunities that I was thinking about both as I played the game and as I tried to write about it after the fact. And then I threw in some stuff about Horizon Forbidden West partway through. Ghostwire Tokyo is a pretty good game. The story's okay, the characters are pretty entertaining, and have some great moments of characterization when they're given space. More on that later. The creature design is incredible. The recreation of a monster-infested Shibuya is excellent. In fact, the only thing holding me back from talking about how great a game it is the frustrating and sloppy combat mechanics that unfortunately make up a large part of the experience. And those are my general thoughts on the game, so I guess you can consider that my 60-second review. Maybe. But it's not the lackluster combat that I want to focus on here. Instead, I want to talk about my favourite thing about Ghostwire Tokyo and how much I wished it had been better integrated into how the game worked. Now, I do want to be clear about something before I dig into the meat of this. I'm not a game developer, nor do I pretend to know very much about game development. I generally tend to stay away from armchair game dev, or as I've put out in a few videos when I've strayed onto topics such as this, do I particularly want to engage in fan fiction about what a game could have been with some changes. I try to avoid that kind of speculation when I'm critiquing a game, and instead take a video game at face value, because I don't believe for a second that I could do it any better, or that any ideas that I might come up with would be any better than what's already in a game, or even possible. Game development is super hard. Hindsight is 2020, and there are innumerable factors that go into why a game turns out the way that it does. I also, again, think that Ghostwire Tokyo is a good game as it is. And if it's a game that you like or love, I'm not here to try to diminish that or say that I know better than you. I love that for you. These are literally just thoughts that I had while I was playing. Also, it's like 37 degrees and has been for like the last 2 days. And I might just be heat delirious, which in fairness is probably actually the best way to play Ghostwire Tokyo. But anyway, for me, the side quests in Ghostwire Tokyo are probably my favourite thing about the game. Second, maybe only to the monster designs, which are, so good. Where the main plot failed to really resonate with me due to the game not really diving very deeply into its main characters, the side quests give the world of Shibuya some much needed grounding and a smattering of personal stories. Ghostwire Tokyo, like the whole game as a concept, is the smashing together of Japanese folklore, urban legends, horror stories, and internet creepypastas with a modern day setting, and it's such a great concept for a piece of fiction. And in the side quests, you really get to explore this in some really fascinating detail. Typically, a side quest will see you find a spirit who will point you in the direction of some kind of strange goings on, typically taking the form of a 10 to 20 minute diversion as you set off to investigate and put it right. They're generally really great concepts with some interesting storytelling and cool gameplay moments, with one notable flaw. They're all pretty short and kind of underdeveloped, over just as they're getting interesting or not as fully explored as I wish they were. Kind of like the main plot and characters, to be honest. I played... Ooh, there's a moth. Ooh, it's a big moth. Wait, did I get it? No. I played most of the side quests wishing they were longer, more involved, and just generally expanded upon much more than they are. I know, right? It doesn't sound like I'm talking about my favorite thing about the game, but like, I guess when it leaves me wanting more, like, that's usually a good thing, right? But also not. It's weird. Sitting alongside this is how you interact with and uncover more parts of the world. The central concept of Ghostwire Tokyo is that a strange fog has enveloped most of the city, and you spend a good portion of your time clearing it out section by section so you can explore more or gain access to the next main quest. In fact, there are multiple chapters whose primary objective is literally just to do that. You clear this fog out by cleansing torii gates scattered throughout Shibuya. You rock up with your supernatural powers, clear out a few monsters, and cleanse a gate in the same way you'd climb a tower or a tall neck or any of the other multitude of ways you unlock or uncover a new part of a map in other games. Once you've done it, a section of the fog clears and your map gets populated by more merchants, collectibles, side quests, and other standard open world stuff. It's fine. Ghostwire Tokyo's equivalent of what has become a very standard part of the typical open world template. It's hard to argue about a game adapting the systems and mechanics of the genre, there's that word again, it's a part of, regardless of how I personally feel about said genre, systems, or mechanics. But somewhere in my playthrough, while I was fighting against the controls to find my enjoyment with the game, these two concepts, the excellent but far too brief side quests, and the standard and kind of dull active cleansing Torii gates to unlock more of the city, kind of got mixed up in my head. I think it might be because Ghostwire Tokyo is a horror-based open world, something which is quite novel in and of itself, that got me thinking about different ways you could approach these genre conventions. The idea of beating up, or in this case obliterating, a few enemies and interacting with a special map location to reveal more of said map is something I've done probably hundreds of times before playing other open world games. There's nothing inherently wrong with it, if it ain't broke, don't fix it. But for a while now, I've been kind of wishing for and kind of waiting for the games that would take the open world concept to the next level. It was while I was exploring a basement that should not exist, an urban legend given life by the supernatural powers that had risen in Shibuya, that I thought about a real missed opportunity that I wish Ghostwire Tokyo had spotted or embraced. The side quest is fine enough. A spirit tells you his friend went missing looking for a staircase to nowhere that supposedly led to a basement for a building that had no basement. Because Akito and Keike, the two main characters, are trying their best to help as many spirits as they can, they decide to investigate. You find the basement, head down, and explore a fairly creepy environment with a couple of nicely effective horror moments before uncovering the mini-boss and destroying it. Job done, and the whole thing's over in about 10 minutes. It was good, really good in parts, but I wish it had been expanded on. And I kept thinking, not only do I wish this was longer, but I wish it mattered more. Aside from the main plot, helping the thousands of wandering spirits of Shibuya was a primary goal for Akito and Keike. I wish more emphasis had been placed on these side quests, because a lot of the concepts and executions were awesome, and they could have supported much longer sequences that really pushed their ideas much further. And then I thought about how great it would have been to replace engaging in the quickly over-familiar loop of finding a Torii gate, clearing it out the surrounding enemies, and waving your hands around in front of it to blow away the surrounding fog, with making these manifestations of demons, vengeful spirits, supernatural entities gone awry, urban legends, and more the things that were generating the fog that was halting your progress. The cherry blossom tree with the blood-covered leaves, the hospital that was transformed into a nightmare by a demon that was haunting a pair of spirits, the urban legend of the subway that takes you to a stop that doesn't exist if you're the only person riding the train. There are so many eerie, creepy, terrifying, fascinating concepts that could have easily been fleshed out. And if they had been and tied more directly into the game's progress, like if helping the spirits of Shibuya also helped Akito and Keike, that would have grounded the game in its own themes and placed a greater emphasis on helping those who are suffering, given Ghostwire Tokyo's coolest concepts more room to breathe, and still kept the basic gameplay loop of slowly uncovering an open world map, albeit in a much more, for me personally, interesting way than repeating the same activity a couple dozen times. Other characters' stories could have also been folded into these side quests. Characters such as Erika or Rinko, for example, have missions or gameplay moments related to them that don't really give them much characterization. Like what happens to Erika specifically is objectively horrible, but isn't really as much of a gut punch as the narrative seems to think it is, because I haven't really gotten a chance to get to know the character beyond the abstract. A few lines of dialogue describing who she is or what may or may not have happened to her. But that's more of a critique of the storytelling of the game as opposed to the central idea behind wanting to make this video instead of a standard review. How I wished Ghostwire Tokyo had doubled down on its best ideas and used them to bring a new twist to, in my own personal opinion, a tired open world gameplay loop. Because the best things Ghostwire Tokyo has going for it, the setting, the premise, the world building, and the side quests aren't, for the most part, the main focus of the game. And that's a shame, because I think they could have played a much more vital role in both the narrative and gameplay mechanics. Again though, I do not say all of this as though I know much about the game development process, or thinking that my ideas are any better than the ones that Ghostwire Tokyo implemented. These are just thoughts I had while I was playing the game and writing about it afterwards. The developers at Tango Gameworks know what they're doing way better than I do. I just thought it was interesting to think and talk about. Like personally, I've been growing somewhat tired and burned out on open world games that don't stray too far from the formula, as I've been sort of documenting on this channel for the past few years now. And to its credit, I think Ghostwire Tokyo strays further from the formula than most of its contemporaries. I mean, heck, the fact that the game's side quests were, for the most part, interesting, kept me exploring the world more than I otherwise would have. I had similar feelings about another open world PlayStation exclusive game, Horizon Forbidden West. You might have heard of it. I streamed the game a couple of times and played some more on my own, and it's a pretty fun game. But it's a game I feel like I've already played to death. Not just because it's the sequel to 2017's Horizon Zero Dawn, the Forbidden West certainly set its stall out as being more of the same thing, but because robot dinosaurs aside, the ground that Forbidden West treads isn't so much well-worn as it's had so many other games walking backwards and forwards on it that it's given way and created a tunnel straight down to the Earth's core. A bit like a melting road in England right now. Is overfamiliarity a bad thing? Not necessarily, and I'm not here to argue that it is, or even that Ghostwire, Horizon, or even open world mechanics are a bad thing, and I hate them. I like all three of those things. Sometimes. I binge watch shows I've seen before, I have comfort movies. We all have things in our lives that we go to when we need something safe and familiar, even in the video games that we play. You don't always want to be challenged with something new. But I also overthink a lot about video games. It's kind of why I started talking so many words about them on the internet. And while I can appreciate Ghostwire Tokyo or Horizon Forbidden West for the games that they are, I do get a little frustrated sometimes that more developers, especially AAA developers with the backing and cash of huge publishers, and in this case console developers, aren't doing more thinking outside of the box. You can make a tower a Torii gate or give it legs and make it walk around, but it's still a tower, performing the exact same function as a tower so many years later. And sure, it's a tried and true mechanic of the open world formula, but maybe we can make things up a bit by thinking just a bit more creatively. Once upon a time, I was working a job in a warehouse that was constantly cluttered up. We put all of the different things in the same places that we'd always put them, because that's where we always put them. But everything constantly got in the way, and nothing made much sense, and it became clear eventually that change was needed. So we took everything in and couldn't see a way to make much of an improvement at all until someone said, if this entire warehouse was empty, how would you organize it? And it was like we unlocked something. Working from a theoretically clean slate made us consider the space and how we could use it. And we made some fairly radical changes that significantly improved our lives, even though it was incredibly hard work and we decided to do a lot of it during summer, like idiots. Does that parable fit? I don't even know anymore. Did I mention that it's been like 37 degrees for 2 days in a row now? I can't even remember most of the things I've said in this video, and they're all written down right in front of me. I don't do well in the heat. Ghostwire Tokyo and Horizon Forbidden West are good games. Open world games are good games. One thing I've learned from thinking too much about video games these past years is that there aren't actually a lot of bad games. There are just games that you don't like, or I don't like. I can critique and theorize and give you my thoughts and opinions about any game I play, but they're my own personal thoughts and opinions. Agree? Cool. Disagree? Also cool. I just enjoy thinking about games on a deeper level than the serotonin they gave me when I pushed the buttons in the correct order. And my motivation in making this video isn't because I dislike either of those games. Quite the opposite. There's a ton of untapped potential, not just in these games, but in open world games in general, and I guess I kind of just wanted to get it off my chest in this one really specific way. But anyway, I've rambled enough about that subject. I'm going to get out of here now because I've a ton more games to play, not enough time to play them all. Thanks for watching, etc., etc. Look, it's 37 degrees. I need to go lie down in a bath of ice or something. I'll see you later. I gotta go. I gotta get out of here. I'm sorry.